Welcome to Backstage with Richard Ridge. Dear Evan Hansen, the Tony, Grammy, and Olivier Award-winning musical has become a worldwide phenomenon, and I'm thrilled to have as my guests two Evan Hansens. Stephen Christopher Anthony, who played the lead role on the North American tour and who has just joined the Broadway company as Evan for a special limited 4-week engagement, and Sam Tutty, who plays Evan on London's West End.
Well, first off, I'm so excited to be sitting with both of you, United States Broadway and the UK, London. So first of all, how are you guys and where are you? Sam, I'm going to start with you because you're the farthest away.
I'm all good. Thank you very much. I'm just about to get ready for a show. It's five something here in London. So it's very exciting stuff. Yeah.
And Stephen, for you, where are you, my friend?
I am very top of Manhattan. It's only noon here, so I just rolled out from breakfast, and I'm doing great.
Oh, wow.
Oh, I love it. Sam's already had breakfast and lunch and probably a pre-show dinner or whatever.
Oh, yeah, I'm fed.
So, Sam, I thought you were in some big old suite somewhere. Is that your dressing room?
I'm very fortunate that this is actually my dressing room. I'm trying to get you a better angle. It's here. Very lovely. We've got a big old mirror with lovely lighting behind me, so I don't look insipid like I usually do. It's all good. Yeah, I'm very fortunate.
I love that. So listen, my first question is, you both have these incredible journeys with Dear Evan Hansen. So where did your journeys begin? So Stephen, I'm going to start with you.
So, okay, to be totally honest, I was in for the show years before I got it, when it was first opening on Broadway, to cover the role, and no one had ever seen it. Well, they'd seen it in the tryouts. I hadn't seen it. I was familiar with the music. I went in and I got really far to cover the role, and then they asked me to do Jared, and I could not figure it out. They were like, he's nerdy, so I was like trying to do him like this, and whatever. I just could not do it, and so I did not get that, obviously. And then years later, when the tour started auditioning, they brought me back in. And it was really intense. It was like, they say like an Evan boot camp, Evan school. It was like probably like 12 auditions. And it was honestly this journey of like letting go of everything that I had seen in the show and like finding myself in it. The best thing that ever happened, Michael Greif said to me, stop playing Evan Hansen. Show me something about Stephen. And that was like, duh, okay, acting, got it. So then I opened on Broadway as a cover. I did 5 performances. I introduced myself to Rachel Bay Jones at half hour before performing the role. I knocked on her dresser. I was like, hi, I play Evan today. I'm Stephen. And they were wonderful to me. And then I went out on the tour as the alternate. So I did all the matinees. I took over the role for a year, and then of course we had an unfortunate 2-year COVID shutdown. Went back out on the road, and halfway through this last 7 months out on the road, they called and said, "You're going to Broadway, baby." So now I'm getting to close out this incredible ride of a lifetime with a month at the Music Box. I just couldn't be happier.
That is great. Now, Sam, for you, where did it all begin for you with Dear Evan Hansen?
Oh my goodness. I was still at drama school. I was still studying, and I did a graduate call, which is different from an open call in the sense that it's all students in the country who are in their 3rd year or first year of graduating. So these 2 generations of students. There was about 4,000 people there. I was there for about 8 hours. And it was my first ever audition ever, period. So I really messed it up. In my opinion, I think, I was very nervous. I was really terrified. I wish I could reenact it to you, but it's so bad. I don't think I can even get that bad now. I'm quite fortunate. And I didn't get it, yeah. So then long story short, I got an agent. I did a showcase, got an agent, and then my agent then put me up for a closed audition. I said, I've already done this. They already said no. And they said, shut up, just go for it anyway. And then I did 13. I had won 3 auditions. 3 of them was separate flights to New York, which was probably one of the greatest times of my life. I still remember the email, you know, so can you go to New York to audition? I was like, literally, yes, I will do anything. I will go to New York to like clean their streets. I don't even care. Like, oh my God, take me there. Yeah. And then 13 later, I was very fortunate that I got it. And I was, one of the reasons I was feeling very self-indulgent at one point, and I said, oh, you know, Mr. Michael Greif, sir, please, sir, why did you, our wonderful director, why did you, any reason why? What did you see in me? And I think very similar to you, Stephen, that he was like, well, you were one of the few that didn't just copy a bootleg of the show, because I had never seen it. Obviously, I couldn't afford to go to New York. I was a student. So I didn't actively choose to not see it. I just was like, I would rather just not see it than see it on some 240 quality on YouTube, you know. So I think very similar to you, Stephen, is that they were looking for a different Evan, or someone who took some sort of their own identity into it, which is why I love this show so much. Is we have 45 different people in this country who can play it, maybe, and there's just each one of them is so different. Yeah. So that's my story.
See, that's what I love about this show, and that's the brilliance of Michael Greif. Also, you're not cookie cutter. It's not like fill this track, you know, do Ben Platt. I mean, it's literally, it's like, what do each of you bring to your Evan Hansen? That's been a fascinating journey of watching you all play this. So let's talk about the boot camp now. So Sam, did you come to the States to see Stephen in the show, or how did this all happen?
I remember, Stephen, do you remember when we first met? We were in DC, and you met myself and Marcus. Marcus is our lovely alternate here. And we just had a chat with, I think it was with Judy as well. And we were just having it just like, you know, and Stephen, I still look up to him so much. I was literally like, oh my God, this guy is incredible. You know, he's teaching me all of these, like, you know, giving me some advice, things that he learned along the way. And, you know, and it was wonderful. And so, yeah, so I saw Ben Levi Ross do it in DC. And just before I saw that, I met up with Stephen. I think that's right. Anyway, Stephen, correct me if I'm wrong.
That's correct.
Okay, yeah, good. I thought it was, yeah. And yeah, so then we just carried on going from there, and it was crazy. And I think that I was so surprised at how different Ben's performance was to Andrew's. You know, I saw Andrew Feldman do it 3 times, and I loved all the stuff he did. But then I was like, okay, and then I'm going to see Evan Hansen in DC, and it's going to be like that. And then I just went, what? And then I saw Michael Lee Park do it, and I was like, Michael Lee Brown do it, and I went, oh my good, this is, how can it be like? And my mind blew up. It was crazy.
What's so funny about that is that, from my perspective, when we met, I was in the middle of, so this was right during our changeover. So our whole year 1 cast was still there. And I was doing the final week of performances there. Like that was Ben Ross's final week. So I was getting ready to do 1 week with year 1 cast. I was already rehearsing with the year 2 cast, which had like little differences in what they brought to it. So I was doing 2 different versions of the show, and they brought me to meet you guys. You guys were so lovely and so sweet. And they were like, what advice do you have for them? I was like, you guys, I'm just trying to survive.
Don't forget to breathe.
I don't know.
Because I was going to ask, what was your first performance? What do you remember about your first performance on stage as Evan?
Nothing. There are some shows where that adrenaline is that like last element you really need and you want, and you feel that fire, like that, those nerves, and you use them and you go out there and it's incredible. And this is not that, right? This is the kind of show you really just want to be like, you want to be on your feet, on your breath. You want to be focused. And so those first nights are always a blur, and it's never the experience that you think it is, right? The audience has no idea, but inside you're like, I don't think I looked anybody in the face. I don't think I responded to anything anyone was saying around me. Those opening nights are absolutely crazy, but that audience is that last element. Like when you hear them participating in your show and going on that ride with you, it's incredible.
Sam, for you, what do you remember about first performance on stage?
very similar to Stephen. I was so right now I could not remember a single thing that I did. But I remember being, I think I was so naive at what I was about to do. I I I was really excited and I was like, oh my God, this is finally happening. But if I was me now and like I've done, over 200 shows now, I would have been so much more terrified. Like I think I was so prepared. We did a million previews and it has, months of rehearsal. So I was like, I know this so well already. But like, I just remember being like, and when I finished it, I sort of kind of suddenly gained consciousness. I was like bowing and I was like, oh my God, that's like, it was just, yeah, it was so bizarre. Like I just suddenly had this kind of reawakening and I realized what I was actually doing. It was terrifying, but yeah, they were very fun as well.
Yeah. No, because everyone's the same thing. It's like you work towards it, and all of a sudden, oh my God, it's going to go up, and now I'm going to be out there and do this whole entire show in front of a live audience, and this is going to be my first time doing it. It's like you start the show. Most people, every star I've talked to, they say mostly on opening night, I remember being pushed out there or starting the show, and then I'm taking my bow.
Yeah.
And that whole time is a blur.
Yeah, absolutely. That's exactly what it was like for me.
No, I actually, just to sort of echo something you kind of touched on, Sam, will say I was almost more nervous coming back to it than
Thank you.
Because the first time I was like, how's this gonna go? We'll see. It was scary, but like coming back, it was like, I know too much now. You know what I mean? I know what that experience is gonna be like and what the run of it is gonna be like.
All right, we have to talk about Michael Greif because you all talked about him. Like he finds the individual to bring their own Evan. So each of you, tell me what it was like working one-on-one with Michael Greif. Sam, I'm going to start with you.
I was so. I honestly, I wish I had the intellect to kind of verbalize how incredible it was to work with him, and I hope he comes back. But obviously, we're so far away. But I was so terrified. I was 21 years old, and I had never worked before professionally. This was my first ever job, and he gave me the tools to like have the tools to work on this show. He didn't go, here's what you're gonna do. He just literally he just kind of like chipped away and like just create, and it was just incredible. And what I couldn't believe was just the creative license I had at finding my own Evan. Obviously he maps out his vision, and it's almost like he goes, okay, now fill in the spaces, and if I don't like it, then we can rework it. And I'm just like, oh my God, this is the most incredible working environment ever. Thank you so much. I just wish I could pay. Do I pay you now? Is this what happens? Like, do you know what I mean? Like, do you want something from me? Yeah, it was just, I don't really have the intellect to kind of verbalize how incredible it was, but it will forever be one of the most humbling, most wonderful, had the biggest privilege of my life, certainly.
Stephen.
I couldn't agree more. You said it so well. I could talk for days. I have learned so much from Michael Greif. I'll give you an example, and it's something you sort of said, which is that he doesn't sculpt your show, but he creates this rich world inside it of things for you to notice. And he doesn't even tell you how he wants it to affect you. I'll give you examples. Like he'll say things like, hey, when Cynthia Murphy takes your hand, just notice her rings.
Yes.
Just notice her jewelry.
That's it.
And you're sitting there and you're thinking about your own mom at home who's, working so hard to make, and then here's this woman who has this incredible jewelry, and it just does something to you. He said to me once, right before I get up to make the speech at the end of Act 1, the big "You Will Be Found" assembly, I sit down briefly on Connor's bed, and he said, just take your fist and make a dent in the pillow. A big dent. A big, big, big dent. Just see what happens. And I was like, okay, I'll make a dent in the pillow. And I walk over to the bed thinking about Connor, thinking about how he's not here anymore, and I make a dent in the pillow, and I'm like, oh my God, that's where his head, that's the dent that his head would have left in the pillow. This was a human being here in it. And I had this unbelievable emotional response to it. But if Michael had told me, I want this to have an emotional effect on you, wouldn't have done it, right? So he sets you up down this path where you're going to surprise yourself.
Yeah.
And then there are options within scenes. This can go this way. This can go this way. It can be anywhere in the spectrum, as long as it's specific. But you have options to play with. So my show is not the same every night. My show ebbs and flows and breathes, and that's a testament to like his trust and you know, I mean, his brilliance, that he knows his show needs to stay alive. It needs to not be crammed into this one tiny box.
Yeah. For me as well, if I just want to carry on with that, I think it's his problem solving as well. It's, if there's an issue, if an actor on stage is you know, in the rehearsal moment, is just having a bit of a problem, very similar to what Stephen was saying, he just guides the actor to just find their own solution, but with just like little pipettes of, you know, guidance, and go, okay, and he'll ask questions, and I go, so what do you think if this would happen? And then they go, and this and that leads to this, and they go, okay, and he just structures this beautiful kind of answer, and it's just so, I can't, it's like trying to like tell you what a rainbow feels like. I have no idea. Do you know what I mean? It's incredible. Yeah.
Nobody gives you a way in for you to discover these things yourself.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which makes it so much more truthful. Yeah.
This is such an emotional role, and a vocally emotional role. I don't know how you guys do what you do. So I just want to ask you, like, into the run, like, how did you find the stamina? Like, what do you do to stay healthy? I mean, how do you come out of the role at the end of a show? I mean, because you take us on this emotional roller coaster ride, and you have to sing through these emotions all at the same time. So any of you can take this first, either of you.
Stephen, please.
The first thing that helped me was to know that there was no benchmark that was necessary for the emotion. There was no like goalposts for it, right? So I had a couple shows where I had absolutely no emotional connection to it, and it was fine. And the audience went crazy because it was still truthful. So that freed me up to go like, okay, it doesn't need to be this or that or this or that. And then once I let go of that, it was always there because it was never something that I needed. I was putting pressure on. But listen, it's like, okay, it's like a repetitive stress injury. It's so funny because I've been answering this question for a long time. And if you'd asked me early on in my run, I didn't even buy into the premise of the question. I was like, it's just a play. I don't know. You go in and you do it, you go home.
Yeah.
And this is while I was the alternate. And then as soon as I took over full time, I was like, oh, it seeps into your. So it's like when you meditate and when you do yoga, you're training your brain on calm. You can actually change the chemistry of your brain by doing that. This is the opposite, right? You're training your brain for 90 minutes, for 3 hours on panic and stress. So like that comes home with you on a cellular level. So I just find however much I'm doing in the show, I need to find the opposite during my day. So I do a lot of yoga, meditation, read a happy book, get outside, take a walk. Like, you know, it's like, if they always tell a dancer, right? If you're kicking a lot on the left, you got to kick on the right to even it out. It's that, but for the heart.
Yeah.
Sam, for you.
I would say I think I'm still learning it, and I'm still failing to learn it as well. I think it's exactly what Stephen said. There is no level that you need to hit. If I get a tear out on this one line one Thursday, it doesn't mean that my show was better than it was last Wednesday. Do you know? There's no sort of, and who the hell is going to know that anyway, unless, you know, there's someone who's been in the show every week, you know? So, and even then they're still going to love it. So I think for me, it's a lot of this, and I'm only showing this because I'm about to go on in like 2 hours. So it's a lot of water for me. But also just, this show is such a torrent. It's such a controlled nuclear explosion in your brain. So I think when when you go and you stop working and you finish the show, I'm fortunate that I'm very good, I believe, to just leaving it at the door. And this, when the door closes, I go home and play some video games. I have whatever, I do whatever, and it's lovely. But I think you need to just accept however you're feeling that day. If I'm going, oh, my throat's feeling a bit, as soon as I go, okay, that means that in this bit in For Forever, I'm not going to be able, get rid of that, because you're still going to be fine. And if you crack, you crack, and you're still alive. That's the level that in which I deal with it. Go, I think I'm going to die if I make one bad, get rid of it all. And that is the hardest thing I've ever had to learn as an actor, as a human being. I'm still struggling, but I think I've certainly come a long way. And just getting rid of, all of that pressure that you put on yourself, because what you're doing on stage is very much is a controlled environment. So as soon as you leave that environment, it's now anyone's guess. Do you know what I mean? You can wake up and go, oh, my sore throat and this, that, and the other. So that's what I'm learning, is just getting rid of all of that, because you've already got a lot of obstacles ahead of you for the next 2.5 hours. Why are you setting yourself up anymore? So just, if it happens, it happens, and it's fine. That's my mantra.
I don't know how you teach this, because I've learned that almost more important than the tools and the techniques for the show is your relationship to the show in a long run like this. And I don't know how you get that. I don't know how you, but like you were saying, like as far as judging yourself, I would notice if I had a less emotional show or a vocally fatigued show, like it was fine. Our audience was there for it. But if I had a show where I started judging myself during it, they picked up on that.
Yeah.
I could feel them check out. But if I accepted it and said, this is what it is today, and I'm going to stand here confidently and give it, they had no idea. You know what I mean? Like so yeah, your perception is so powerful.
This show has touched millions of people all around the world. People fly to New York, people fly to London, people fly all across the country to see this show. You must meet people. This show has helped so many people too, because it deals with mental health issues. And I've spoken to so many people who said, oh my gosh, Dear Evan Hansen was life-changing for me. So do you each have a moment of somebody you've met or got a letter from somebody or a fan that this show has touched them and touched you so much?
Constantly. It happens all the time, and it always blows my mind. We spend so much of our childhoods as theater artists, putting on silly costumes and like, so to do this thing that like really means this much to people is like, it's such a rare opportunity, and like I do not take that for granted. And I know that the themes of what we're touching on and what we're handling in the show is very real. It is real things that people are going through. And so every time somebody reaches out and says something like that, like I carry that back out there with me, that I know I'm not, yes, I'm putting on a play. Yes, I'm putting on a character, but it has real world implications for people. It's helping people in that enriches my show so much. It's so special.
Sam.
It's very humbling, and it's very in a very inward and selfish way. It's very rewarding, I think. And I think if I'm ever having days where it's like I just don't think I can, just on a random Tuesday, I've woken up, I just don't think that I can today. But I get up and I do it. I do the show, and I look down. I have very few moments where I look down and I can just kind of few glances at people, and some of the looks that I can see, not even directed at Evan, but directed at the entire piece as a whole. They'll just stare, and I can probably count on my one hand how many times they blink, and it's just like I'm part of that. Like this guy who grew up, like I have this privilege to be a part of something that not only is offering people an escapism, but gives them a platform for communication and how they can heal whatever they need to heal as well. It's like, how are you like worthy of that? Like, I don't feel like, so when people come up to me and go, you have changed my life, I go, that is, I think it's like, one, I haven't, Evan has, the show has, Benj, Justin, Stephen, Greif, they all have. But just to be even one cog in that machine is just, it's something if I get it in another job, great, but I won't be surprised if I don't, respectfully to my next job.
No, but like I said, I just know this, that's what theater does too. Really great theater. People come to these things and they have epiphanies and they have life-changing moments like, oh my God, I see myself in that person, or he's going through the same thing I do. And you're just, you're putting it all out there for these people. So I think that's really, really great. Now Elphaba's are painted green. You guys have your ritual because you get your cast before every performance. Tell me about that ritual. Like, at what point during your half hour or during your process of getting ready for Evan do you get your cast? Sam.
Well, I've got one here. Here's one I made yesterday. That's a joke. It's all very real. I'm not accompanied on but it's very real, and it gets cut off. My lovely dresser Carly, she's too scared of this pneumatic drill, so we have these we've got these big claw, scissor, horrible, frightening things that I'm not allowed to touch. But hey, don't tell anyone. Yeah, so it's all I get it at about the half. I'm imagine it's the same with you, Stephen, where we just start. I mean, it only takes maybe less than 10 minutes. I'd say about 6 or 7 minutes, roughly 8 minutes, maybe. Yeah, and it's great. It's very fun. It's very exciting, and there are some days when I'm either really into the show or I'm having a really angry day, and I just go, actually, we don't need these, and I just go, and just rip it off. I've been told to lay low on that now because I think they like to keep them for charity events, so now I have to kind of wait patiently. But yeah, it's wonderful. It's a wonderful thing, and I certainly will keep my last one because I'm not sure where my first one is, but my last one will be on my shelf. So.
Oh my God. Stephen, for you, what's that ritual like for you?
It's really special. It's so much of my day is spent just sitting around going all right, I can only warm up so much. I can only stretch so much. I can only get ready so much for my show. Let's go. And then, it's kind of the last part of that preparation. There's almost something calming to me about it because I'm all right, there's no turning back now. Put the thing on me. Let's do it. Let's go. And then it happens for me right at half hour. And then I have to sit there for 30 minutes. Ready to go in full costume. So I get the thing on. I find some peace with okay, here we go. It's finally time. And then once I'm in the thing, I sort of make my rounds and visit everyone in the building and try to distract myself that way. But yeah, there's something sort of transformative that happens when it's going on. Also, these poor people who have to put them on us. It's peak anxiety moment of my entire day. I'm worried about gets just spilled out on them.
Yeah.
For those 10 minutes.
Oh, it's so funny that's so simple.
So true. That poor person.
Yeah, hired therapist now.
Do you remember the first time you saw yourselves done up as Evan with your pale blue polo shirt on, the cast, in that mirror that first day? What went through your mind, Stephen?
So my first time was in the music box, and I had been in that dressing room. I saw Ben Platt. So Ben Platt and I had done Book of Mormon together. So I went to see him, of course, do this. And I met him after, and I sat in that dressing room on his couch. And I said, how do you do this? How do you do this every day? And he was figuring it out. And then, 2 years later, I was sitting in that dressing room, looking at myself in the costume, how am I going to do this? It was so surreal. It's the kind of thing you hope for, but you never imagine. Even still, every time I see myself in the polo, I have to pinch myself a little bit. I was sitting at breakfast an hour ago, and a bus rolled by with the Dear Evan Hansen logo, and I just was I'm going to put on that polo tonight. It's crazy.
Sam, for you.
I think for me, but the first time I had it on, I was we were doing press photos in New York. The same photos that they put on the front of the building with all the cast. So I was already checked out stimulation wise. I was fully out. I was overstimulated to hell and back. So then when they said, okay, now put it on, I went, what do you mean? They said, there you go. I went, what? And it was just such it's an experience I don't really know how to verbalize again, but it was just so bizarre. Like this iconic thing that's basically been built in, I don't know, they get built now because you can't buy them from Target or wherever it is now. And they used to be able to, I heard, but now I think the company stopped selling them. So now they get these things that just get built around my body. I was like, this is just, it's so surreal and it's so rewarding, I think. And like similar to Stephen, I get the tube to work from my flat, and I'll go up the tube, and on the escalator there's adverts for musicals or films coming out, and then there's me, and I'm like, okay. And then I'll walk by, and then there's a big I don't even know, like the biggest ones you could get, and I go, okay, that's surreal. And then I'm like, okay, I need to. It's just so bizarre. Like, I don't know if I'll ever see my face on a poster in the tube again, but it's very strict for a British, now London native. It's a very bizarre process. So to see me in the polo is very bizarre because I never really look at myself in it. I just go, okay, there's me wearing clothes. Now I go, but like to actually have a moment where I'm not in the show and then to go, oh yeah, I wear that blue polo. It's right there. It's like, what the heck? It's just crazy. It's crazy.
That is great. Like I said, this is such an incredible show to do. I mean, you have the incredible score by Benj and Justin and the words by Stephen. Is there a moment in the show that just like emotionally breaks you up every night? It could be something you do or something someone else does in the show, because there's so many incredible emotional roller coaster rides the show takes you on. Stephen.
I will say what's so lovely about the show is that it's always something different. And it's often something that catches me off guard from one of the other actors. That they've given me something new that surprises me. If I had to pick a moment just of words, it's this like very, very, very final prayer in the very final scene in the orchard. That is just like, look, here I am doing this very difficult thing that Sam has already said. A lot of times we wake up and we're like, how am I going to do this difficult thing? It seems insurmountable every day. And at the end of the play, I get to say the words, keep going. Think life is going to be hard. Yes, you just saw it. Life is going to be hard sometimes. Don't let go. Don't give up. Like, you're stronger than you think you are. Please trust that. That blows me away every night. I think that's so special.
Very similar to Stephen. It's something that I find new every day, every night. And I'll go, oh, that's great. Let me explore that tomorrow's show. And I go, yeah, that was great. And then I find something else. I go, oh, hang on, that's great as well. But I think for me, I have this I've not told anyone this. This is really embarrassing. But like, in words fail, and I might get an email from Michael saying, stop doing this right now. But I imagine him just like standing on the edge of it. It's so embarrassing and it's so very cliche. But I like to get really close to the end of the stage just so I can feel my shoes just finish, like just go off the stage a bit. And I just love that kind of like almost unbalanced, which is the last thing you need during a song like that. You need very much like to be very engaged. But I love to just think he's standing at the end of this cliff, and it's just so. I just love the drama of that, and just the imagery of that just really like sent me to a weird place. A few shows. This has only happened about 3 or 4 shows ago, so it's a very new thing for me. But I just that whole like that bit in oh god, how does it go? That's really embarrassing. Just in what? Yeah, just I think just the bit in Words Fail where he goes, what if everyone saw? What if everyone knew? That bit, just that full on. He's had his scream. He's got it all out, and now at the end of the day, we're left with the real questions, which is like, what if everyone did see who I am, and what are the obvious repercussions of that? So yeah, I think There's a few things, but like I think it would be impossible to say one for me. I think it's every night it goes, oh, I love that. Let me try that tomorrow, and then we try the next. For sure.
Well, finally, if you could sum up the best part of the experience, because I know Sam's got to get ready for a show. Listen, we could live in your dressing room, just so you know. If you ever have a bad day, just go to that dressing room at 10 o'clock in the morning.
I know. Yeah, it's lovely. I've got a big sofa there as well. It's crazy. I could sleep here.
I was going to say, if you have a bad day, just go to the theater early, go on the tube, look at your posters, go to the theater. Like, I can pull it all together. No, I'm kidding. Up the best part of the experience. I mean, there must be so many of being a part of Dear Evan Hansen. What is it for each of you? And either of you can start this because it's a big question.
Please, Stephen.
And I could talk for days. I could name 10 things. I'm going to give the cheesiest answer, which is I'm going to say the people. It's really the people because that really could have made or break the whole experience, right? It's an incredible show. It's an incredible journey with awful people. And every single person from the top to the bottom, from Stacey Mindich, to every single person out through the tree has just given so much of their hearts. I think everybody involved really feels that this is special. And especially on tour where we were traveling all the time and at the Music Box, just taking such good care of every single person. Everybody's taking care of everybody. Never had a professional experience quite so loving and familial as this is. And that's something I'll take with me forever. There's no excuses after this, right? It's like we've done the most stressful thing and everybody has been wonderful for the entire time. No excuses. If we can do this under these circumstances and be that good, let's just be good to each other.
Yeah.
I love that. Sam.
Yeah, I think I was gonna say not that, but like now that Stephen, you said that, I think it's impossible for me to not mention that the team and this like Stephen said, this tree has been so kind to me. This, I'm older now, but when I started, I was this little embryonic piece of human flesh who just had no idea what they were doing. And just to be welcomed by a creative team and a cast that were just so not smothering in any way, like you're doing all right, by the way, just so perfectly kind and not overbearing and just so. And now that we've got our teeth really sunk into it, this cast and myself, we're just this oiled machine, and we just, we work so beautifully together. And then to come backstage and all of them are sitting in here while I've been busy working, but they're all here and they're just laughing about something that isn't probably even that funny, but just because we all just like each other so much. And I know you could listen to this and be like, yeah, they always say that. I promise you, the crew, the cast, everyone who's had another job previous to this one has said, I really don't think, Sam, any one of us are going to find a group, a team so well fitted together, which is incredible because, like Stephen said, we've all just gone through hell and back, but then we finish a show and my sides are all really splitting when I'm getting my cast off because, I don't know, like just something hilarious happens. And it's like to go from this deadly, horrible, serious kind of moment in the show at the end to then finish the show and go, do you remember when this happened and that happened? It's just so, it just creates such a beautiful experience because at the end of the day, that's the most important part. Like Stephen said, like, oh, it's a great show, hate the people. Not the case at all. It's like, it's wonderful. It's wonderful.
Well, everybody who has said that, who's worked on Dear Evan Hansen, said it's the family, it's the people, it's the crew, it's everybody that is the Dear Evan Hansen family. So I have had the time of my life today talking to both of you, Stephen and Sam. Sam, thank you for joining us from London's West End.
Oh, my pleasure. Thank you for having me, Stephen. Have a lovely morning. Good luck. Have a great show tonight.
Break an arm.
Oh, and you.
Break an arm to both of you. And everybody go to the theater and see Dear Evan Hansen here in New York or in the West End or on tour. Take care, everybody. See you soon.
Bye.